As I focus in on the fifth of my five priorities, five solutions to Saint Croix or targets, as we're talking about in this video, the pinky finger of the button, public safety. When I ask at the doors, as I knock doors all throughout our communities in St. Croix 36, when I talk to mayors, when I talk to community leaders, I'm seeing four components that I really believe need to come together for people to feel safe and be safe in our communities. Again, yesterday I talked about the erosion really since 2021 of us feeling like we are safe in our communities. That is not just hearsay, that is an objective fact. See yesterday's video more about that. I've set my timer today because this is going to be multiple parts probably about this. We're on part 3 about this alone, but really I want to talk about the four components that'll help us feel safer as I understand them. First of all, I'm hearing people say they would like to see more police presence in our communities. And many people remember a time when the police were very visible. There were a lot more officers. I've been living here since 2018, and I feel like that was the case then, let alone 20 years ago, as people remember. And some people remember, of course, a municipal police force. We can talk a bit more about that, but I want to talk more about policing. The second thing people are telling me, and as I realize when I see this picture emerging, is the need for some sort of mental health response. Mobile crisis units exist. They are put on by our regional health authority, Horizon, in our area. The main cities, the major cities have them. But as I said in my election campaign speech back in May at Pitta Polish Potato with about 75 people in attendance, we are rural, from Macadam to St. Stephen to St. Andrews to Campobello and everywhere in between. We are rural, and rural should not mean we have access to less services than the cities. We should not be penalized for being a rural community. And so I'd like to talk more about mobile crisis response units. They exist. They, like I say, they're operated and overseen by Horizon. I'd love to see that here as well, and that's what I think people are asking for. The courthouse, we would love to see more judiciary presence in our communities. I knocked on the door of somebody in St. Andrews the other day whose grandfather was a judge in town. The courthouse was operational, and there was just a sense that the community saw justice being done. Victims and perpetrators alike could go to the courthouse. The public could sit in, get an understanding of what's going on, get an understanding of the justice that was being done. That in 2015 was completely removed by the Liberal government from St. Stephen, from our riding, and now it has created a whole host of problems for people who need justice, who need access to the courts. And the fourth thing that I'm seeing as this picture coalesces, as I said, is a sense of public transportation. There is no public transportation to speak of. A company called Kari just started in St. Stephen. I was in a council meeting in St. Andrews last month, and of course they're realizing they would need bylaws to set up. There's dial-a-ride, but seniors are feeling like these things are not accessible enough to get to the cities or to get between the cities. Cost prohibitive. Many of them don't use an app. It's ride sharing. And so there are barriers, and we're seeing that the provincial government really is not putting forth the funds, the plans for any sort of public transit. And people, especially in St. Andrews, do feel relatively isolated out there on the peninsula. They would like to get to, Superstore in St. Stephen, or even to, the Highway 1, where they could easily get to St. John and around. So there is this sense of them not feeling safe being able to get from point A to point B. Now, I am on my last minute here, but I want to spend the next couple of days talking about policing, enforcement in our communities. Number one of the four that I just mentioned. And policing in our communities, it is not that visible, as we say. And that is because we are so spread out and we are rural, and the police need to respond to a huge area. But before we talk about policing, or the RCMP specifically, we need to understand that there are three types of police enforcement. There are three types of enforcement in New Brunswick. And so I'm going to give you an overview from the Government of New Brunswick website. There's the timer, so this is the last thing I will do. There are three types of policing in the province. Maybe we're aware of some, but not all of them. New Brunswick has many communities with unique needs for policing and public safety. I would say we'll put up our hand on that. Saint Croix 36 has unique needs. Local governments are responsible for choosing a policing model for their communities, and the Minister of Public Safety, currently Chris Austin, he featured in our video yesterday. Mayor Brad Henderson sent letters to him, had meetings, but we are still waiting for answers from the Department of Public Safety. The minister is responsible for ensuring that policing models provide adequate law enforcement. Did you catch that? The minister is responsible for ensuring this, okay? Now, there are three types of enforcement officers in New Brunswick. RCMP, we're very familiar with that. Municipal and regional police officers, okay? And there has been discussion about resurrecting municipal and local police forces. I will show you tomorrow which municipalities and regions have that, and recent efforts by certain municipalities and regions to start up their own police forces and what has happened in that regard. And the third is justice and public safety peace officers, or as some of us might know it, SCAN, Safer Communities and Neighborhoods, SCAN, and they are responsible for more investigative activities, essentially bylaw enforcement in our neighborhoods and communities and in our riding in Saint Croix. So that's an overview. As we talk about policing, we need to, again, take a step back and understand the full picture of what that means. We see RCMP patrol cars, etc. We know the officers, we see the detachments, but there are essentially three types available in New Brunswick, and that is what we want to explore when we talk about greater police presence in our communities. Okay, so we'll dive more into that in tomorrow. Hopefully you learned something today. I know I sure am as I research these things and talk to people, like I say, community leaders and wonderful people at their doors all through our community. And I look forward to diving into this further as we explore how we can be safer and what my plan would be as your MLA. I will be busy on October 22nd, the day after the election, making sure we are tackling feeling more safe in our community.